Welcome to Mudville, podcast about baseball and cinema. I'm Brody Staub.
I'm Nolan Brody.
We hope you enjoy.
I wanted to start us off today by reading a quote from everyone's favorite legendary filmmaker, Mr. Taika Waititi.
Now, is he infected by the woke mind virus yet?
He always has been.
Okay.
He kind of invented it, some might say.
The CEO of the woke mind virus.
Taika Waititi knows he'll be obsolete in decades. And then the quote, "No one remembers who directed Casablanca." I'm 47. My God, take the pressure off. People are so obsessed with likes or leaving behind a legacy, being remembered. Bruh. Here's the thing. No one's going to remember us. What's the name of the director of Casablanca? Michael Curtis. That's arguably one of the greatest films of all time. No one knows his name. How the fuck do I expect to be remembered? So who cares? That sounds like Tim Robinson in the hot dog suit. People are so obsessed with likes or leaving behind a legacy, being remembered. No one's going... Yeah, anyway.
No one knows who made the best movie ever, but...
Yeah,
what, I don't know.
I mean, I could be
what
one
did I
of...
do? I made Guardians 2.
I don't know, he didn't. He made Thor
he was in that
3.
Movie. He made... You're right, sorry. He didn't make
Thor
Guardians
4.
2. He made Thor 3.
Yeah, huge distinction. We could be one of 500 people to say that Michael Curtis directed Casablanca, but it's funny that he would choose Casablanca to try to make this argument because it's sort of the premier studio success story. You know, the Hollywood studios of the 1940s wwhere they assign a writer, they assign actors,
sure.
And they control everything. And when people were making
the modern formula, you mean?
Well, it was literally the classic formula in the 1940s and 50s.
But I'm saying, is it like the first movie that did that? I'm saying like the first movie to bring on like teams of production people. Is that what you're saying?
No, but it's the one that is regarded as having the most success.
Okay.
The people who were making it didn't even think that it was any good while they were in production.
Like true artists.
It came out and it failed, you know.
Right,
the movie's reputation has largely been built in the decades since.
Sure.
More importantly, like, that's specifically chose Casablanca because you can't say no one remembers who directed Citizen Kane or no one remembers who directed Vertigo or no one remembers who directed The Apartment because that's just not true.
Right, those are all Taika Waititi films, yes.
Of course.
Right. Sorry, Orson.
I mean, people, of course, do remember who directed Casablanca, but if Taika Waititi doesn't, then he's going to use this to excuse his mediocre filmography because... he's using Casablanca for a reason. He's using a movie that you kind of say people don't remember the director of, and too many people outside of the internet aren't going to challenge you on that.
The movie's also 80 years old.
Exactly. And Taika Waititi's movies are entirely based on him. Yeah. Like, he is one of the most narcissistic filmmakers in America. You watch any of his movies,
so strong.
It's all about him. Like Jojo Rabbit, one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I digress. If Taika Waititi is comparing his own filmography to like the one of 1,000 studio movies that came out that year and the one that is regarded as being a masterpiece, despite not really being an example of directorial art, that's just a cop-out.
I think it's not a reach to say that Taika Waititi has not made the 21st century Casablanca.
I think you could say that. And I didn't really know how I was going to work that into the podcast today, so I just kind of wanted to start that out.
Why not?
Anyway, welcome back to Mudville. May 31st. We are about 2 hours away from the month of June.
Yes, sir.
Brody, how has your week been?
Pretty good. 3-day weekend kind of screwed me up for the, I thought it was Tuesday, like all day. And then I realized it was Wednesday because somebody asked what I was doing tomorrow being Thursday. And I was like, Thursday? That doesn't sound right. But I don't know. Whatever.
We had a 3-day weekend, and all that I could think of was every weekend should be 3 days.
Yeah, of course.
Like,
it's beyond like even consideration at this point. It just like should happen. Like, there have been studies that have all turned out positively, and just everybody knows it's better.
4-day work week improves productivity, improves relations around the office. It's just a win-win for everybody.
Yep.
I did lots of Google searches this week into 4-day work week laws.
Did you really?
Yeah, I was like, man, no, I did. I legitimately did that. I was just like, I mean, life would just be so much better.
I think a bunch of
if we had a 4-day work week.
Countries are doing it now.
Yeah,
I think. And maybe France. France is always up on.
France is
on the up and up with labor stuff. I think
France has their president's head in the fucking guillotine at all times, waiting to go. They're just like, test us. Those people are just dying to revolt.
The second anyone threatens to take away their 4-hour midday wine break,
Americans are cuffed.
Raise hell.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Americans are like the tweet that was the other day that was like, Americans use their one day off to go get heart surgery that they then have to pay for.
Yeah, it was comparing us to Europe, and it was just laughing at one guy who kept commenting at everybody. Marshall Plan, sweetie. Like, we can't have universal health care in America because we gave it all to Europe in 1948.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Sorry, sweaty. That was part of the, what was the thing that, was that? No, there was no document that ended World War II. That would be a bad mistake.
There was, but...
Was there? I'm a teacher, for fuck's sake. I'm a substitute
I don't
teacher.
see anything about, like, a specific document.
I don't think
just
there was.
See, like,
I think we bombed the shit out of Japan.
World War II ended in 1945. Yeah.
Hitler killed himself.
Hitler popped himself in the dome.
Did a few war crimes, and then the war ended. That was it.
Speaking of Nazis who should kill themselves, I wrote a Substack article today about
Anthony Bass.
What a transition. Yeah. I just wrote about baseball's cultural sickness.
Yeah.
And,
well written. Go take a listen.
It's disgusting for everybody. It's at mudville.substack.com. If you want to subscribe, give me a follow. I very much appreciate it. We talked about it a little bit last week. I don't really have much more in me anymore, but it's all just blood boiling stuff with
Anthony Bass and
going around on Twitter the last week, and the number of people who seem to think that bigotry has an intellectual fortitude to it.
Everybody has to cater to the worst people. Not to expound, you do mention how even when you go through, or did you say like you go through people that baseball players will follow or something on social media, and it's all like America 1-6 patriotism.
I don't think I said that in the article, but it's absolutely
they all
true.
follow Ben Shapiro and like Steven Crowder, and
if you follow baseball players, you're gonna have a shocking number of mutuals with a lot of the worst media people in the country.
There was like around when Volpe was coming up, it was like, he follows like America gun.freedom.press Nazis or whatever.
It's not that bad.
It's not that bad. It is like Ben Shapiro though, and like his ilk, which
I don't know. I stopped doing that. Like I honestly stopped.
It's just not
following
worth it.
baseball players for that reason. I was just kind of like, this is just going to take me for 3 out of
hours.
It. And it's not going to make it. And I mean, that's just all it could do is make me dislike these guys, and that really kind of sucks.
Except for Spencer Strider.
Yeah, once in a while you get a cool guy, like
a cool
Liam
mustachioed man,
Sean Doolittle, or
Hendricks,
Lucas
awesome.
Giolito. Yeah, they're all very cool.
Like Hendricks is cool though for a few reasons, which we can now use this to springboard into actual baseball chat if we want to. But Hendricks coming back from cancer like 5 months after being diagnosed is crazy. Him running out on the field, I got chills. I don't care about the White Sox, at all. I didn't really like Liam Hendricks until literally yesterday. So it was, well, that's
the
not
White
fair.
Sox,
I was rooting for him, but it's, I found him to be a bit much. But
the fan caller from mid-April didn't the effect of that wore off on you. You weren't into the White Sox anymore.
I have been like passively rooting for them. I actually put in a bet a week ago. That was like just all of the division winners And actually, I feel way better about it than I should because the odds are not great. But I did put the White Sox for the AL Central, and I think I put it was like $15 to win 50 grand or something.
Shoot. Okay,
it was. I'll read it off.
Well, that's
$15 to win $50,000. It is the division winners as follows: Yankees, White Sox, Astros, Cardinals, Braves, Padres.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah. So I feel way better about that than I should. I feel like the Padres are probably, the Cardinals are, I don't know, dude. The Central divisions are so weak. Anybody
it's
can win them.
definitely one where you can just kind of go set it and forget it.
Yep,
Worst
that's
thing
exactly
that happens is it doesn't hit, and
Gonna
that's
check back in September.
99.99999% chance it doesn't hit. So
no, not necessarily. It's I don't know what the odds to percent chance means, but it is plus 333,000. So we'll see.
California baseball owners are causing a scene continuously this week.
Dude, what the fuck?
Dude,
they are so bad. Every single one of them, except for the Padres. But they...
the Oakland saga continues this week with more and more legislation and paperwork being drawn up to move the team to Nevada. As I understand it, John Fisher is trying to push this dog shit product onto the taxpayers of a new state.
Yeah.
And he's like, so we're going to move the A's to Las Vegas, right? And Nevada is like, we will definitely be putting a baseball team in Las Vegas. So there's a very real possibility that the A's end up without much of a future since they've given Oakland the middle finger at this point. They're all in on Las Vegas.
I am rooting so hard for this whole thing to fall apart.
With
and for
the product
him to have
on
to
the
crawl
field.
back to Oakland.
Yep.
And just say, he's never going to, he would never apologize to the city or whatever, but he might, if they don't get a deal through, maybe being forced to sell the team by Major League Baseball, and then the A's can stay in Oakland.
Fangraphs article today that was published about
Somebody
what would actually happen for... there are already multiple bidders that want to keep the team in Oakland, specifically who have said that.
Wait, you mean there's a team who wants to make a dedicated fan base happy and take all their money?
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a pessimistic view of looking at it, but there is a dedicated fan base there who loves their team. Why don't you use that?
Did you see the Ken Rosenthal thing this week where he said, if you accept this deal that they put on the table, you are fools. You are
Vegas?
Yeah, he said
good for Ken.
You are being conned.
Yeah.
It's the most obvious thing in the world. Yeah. And I think maybe...
You think the owner of the A's is going to put together a mutually beneficial deal?
No, I think that I'm being naive, but, maybe it's possible that this whole thing could fall apart.
Hey, man, it's got the same amount of odds as my division bet.
John Fisher can be publicly shamed
I would
Cersei Lannister.
Flog him through the square.
Oh, and the other owner of the San Francisco Giants, Charles Johnson, has declared war on a clam shack that he thinks is going to decrease value on his eighth property.
Hold on, I've missed this entire saga. Fill me in, please.
No, that's the whole thing. But apparently he's losing.
Okay, well, give me some details.
Well, it's this guy. He's 90 years old. He has 8 different mansions because he owns a baseball team. And there's a proposal.
I thought you were the owner of the clam shack, which I was about to be very pro clam shack.
Yeah, no, I'm very pro.
I already am
shack
pro
here.
clam shack. Let me be clear.
I'm going to invest in this clam shack. But apparently he's this will decrease the value of my property and all the property around me. And now apparently Charles Schwab came out in favor of the restaurant. So the Charleses are beefing over the clams.
Let's go. Oh my God. Wow. You know what else will devalue your property?
Yeah.
Not bringing back Carlos Rodon.
Hey, at least they signed arson judge.
They did sign arson judge.
Yeah, it's just amazing that this guy is getting publicity now for losing a fight to a clam shack.
Yeah,
and the guy who's proposing to run the clam shack said this isn't his first house, this isn't his second house. He doesn't live here. Basically the LeBron James speech, but about billionaires being assholes.
Oh my God, it's awesome.
Oh, it's incredible.
Good for clam shack, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go clam shack.
More power to the clams.
Clam shack. Man, we
God.
like clam shacks here
Yeah.
on the Mudville pod.
Yes, we do. This is a explicitly pro clam shack
Absolutely.
podcast.
Now we're about to get milkshake ducked probably with the clam shack.
Yeah, the clam shack guy is going to turn out to be like part of ISIS. It was Prospect Day yesterday. Josue DePaula and Ethan Salas were both put on A-ball rosters by the Dodgers and Padres, respectively. A.J. Smith-Shawver was called up to the Braves after just being drafted last year. An absurd ascent for this young arm who they're initially going to put into the pen, but who they imagine will be in the starting rotation
Love a
before
young
too
arm.
long.
Gotta love a young
You gotta
arm.
love a young arm. And then we saw James Wood, Junior Caminero, and Marcelo Mayer all promoted to AA.
Nice.
So some
Yeah.
exciting times for the future of baseball. Oakland has beaten Atlanta twice.
I know that.
over
That's
the past
unreal.
2 nights.
Unreal.
I
love
don't
it.
know how that happened.
I do, if you're curious.
Yeah, do
I
you
have
wanna
the answer.
do it.
I know why. So Sean Murphy and Matt Olson are hanging out in the clubhouse before the game starts. And he's looking around the room, and he's like, guys, let's just look like you're trying, but these guys can really use a win. And it's
think
not
it was a
like the
pity
Mets
win?
or the Phillies are
No.
catching us. We can afford to drop 2. Give them just some kind of,
I don't know
for old time's sake, put a smile on the Oakland A's fans' faces. They don't get much,
Throw him a bone.
except for the thought of John Fisher getting flogged through the square.
It just becomes more and more crazy that they got hosed last year in the draft lottery and they ended up with pick number 6 in a draft that has
wrong.
a top tier of 5 elite players.
Yeah.
And now they're probably going to end up with a 3rd catcher.
The A's being the A's, probably going to end up trading, I don't know, Shea Langoliers this year, maybe next year or something. Probably next year.
I mean, I don't know what they're going to get for him, like a pitching prospect or something.
That's what they tend to do.
Yeah, and then they just ruin them,
Yep.
and then trade the ones they don't ruin to the Yankees,
Yeah.
who then immediately
Ruined.
implode.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say there was a another thing that was like it was a compilation of like it was like Catch God Strikes Again, and it was just a picture of like Caprellian and who else, Sears and Waldachuk and like all their like stat lines from this season. It's like you cannot accurately judge A's pitchers off of their actual performances. I refuse to believe that the best that any of these guys could do is what they are doing at the professional level for the Oakland A's. I feel like if you put them in AAA, they dominate, not just because the talent is worse, but because they actually have stakes. Like, nothing can come of this. They're under team control for years. They don't want to hurt themselves, and all they're probably trying to do is hold out until the team either moves or Fisher sells it. I keep on wanting to call him John Henry. Because we saw Sears do well last year, and it wasn't just because he hadn't been figured out. He had good stuff.
No, Sears has done
Like-
well this year too. He's
I
had a
think
good
he has
start
like a
for them.
6
yeah.
or 7 ERA.
Well, yeah, but he's
whatever.
got decent stuff at least.
No, he does. That's what I'm saying. He does have decent
he's
stuff.
Had
Like-
decent performances.
Yeah, sure. And that's what I'm saying. It's just do not slough praise onto Brian Cashman because the Oakland A's don't give a shit.
I'll
It's not
slough
fair.
nothing.
Don't slough anything. Slough nothing.
Speaking of James Caprillion,
you shall not slough.
He did take the loss today. The
I feel
Braves.
like I used slough wrong. Is that the wrong way to use it?
I didn't know. I was kind of following your lead.
No, because like I think like now that I think about it, it's like if you dodge work, you're like sloughing off.
I don't know.
Whatever. I don't know.
Let's just move past it.
Fair enough. I don't have my thesaurus with me.
The Braves did salvage today's
dictionary.
game 4-2. Jared Schuster got the win, but the A's
Fortitude.
took that series, so I can't imagine Atlanta fans are too happy with that.
No, they're actually over the moon. I'm telling you, it just shows you that Sean Murphy and Matt Olson are good dudes.
The Rays are looking extra beatable. They got shut down, not a
Yeah, man.
complete game shutout by
Them Cubbies.
Stroman the
Looking
other
good.
day in a 1-0 loss.
Yep.
Take into account those 4 consecutive series to start the year against bottom of the barrel teams, and you're starting to wonder if this is a first place team after all.
I think the narratives are getting a little out of hand with the Rays.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they are still one of, if not the best teams in baseball. I
Oh,
mean,
certainly.
It's right there right now between the Braves, the Rays. Honestly, it's kind of hard to say. I think it's just the Braves and the Rays. Like,
I
still.
think the Rays
who else is playing anywhere near that good a bit? And not currently, but I'm saying like has been this year. Like
it's the Orioles, the Yankees, the Dodgers,
but none of them.
The
have
Rangers
had,
actually.
The Rangers.
It
the
really
Rangers
might be
are
the
fair.
Rangers.
The Rangers is fair. But I was gonna say the Dodgers, the Yankees, and the Orioles all have like a bit more. I don't know, flaws or just less. They don't look as driven as the Braves or the Rays have coming out the gate at least. But that being said, both of them seem to kind of be coming back to earth a little bit, as baseball tends to do to teams who start out hot. You cool down eventually. But I don't know. I think, as per my bet, I still think the Yankees are going to find a way to win this division. But the Rays are not they're not frauds. They're not posers. They're not.
Oh, of course not.
This is not. This was not just like they're getting hot out the gate and then they're not going to do anything. Everybody knows they're going to be fine.
I think all three of these teams finish within like 2 or 3 games of each other. And
three teams being
the Rays, Yankees, and Orioles.
Okay, yeah.
Speaking of the Orioles,
it's going to be a crazy race at the end of the year.
Grayson Rodriguez has been sent down after a very disappointing performance in 2023. I did hear some reports that he may have been tipping his pitches. So maybe they sent him down to work on that because that's a guy with incredible stuff. So
should not be getting rocked.
Very alarming as to why he is getting hit as hard as he has been.
Yeah, I think with it's a thing with young pitchers. They need to that happens. They have tells. They have it could be the slightest little things, like you hold your glove a little higher when you're throwing a slider, or look back at second right before you throw a fastball, or there are just little things that you might not have any idea that you're doing, and then
just little ticks.
Yep. And then you have Aaron Judge peeking at the first base coach to tell him that he's about to throw a slider and he's going to hang it. So,
well, no, that was because the clubhouse
I'm kidding.
was yelling at the umpire.
That's no. Okay, for those
doing a bit.
For those
sorry.
audio only, which is everybody because we don't have a camera. Nolan just put on the most grinchy smile I've ever seen following that line.
Yeah, well, speaking of grinchy smiles, the Orioles replaced Cedric Mullins, who went on the IL with Aaron Hicks.
Yep.
What do you think about that?
The latest of Yankee castaways to actually kind of do well in their debuts. Gary Sanchez hit a homer today.
Yes, he did.
Aaron Hicks went I know he scored 2 runs, he had a base hit, maybe more than one, but he looked good
for him.
He looked good. I actually tuned into that game specifically to watch Aaron Hicks.
Interesting.
The Orioles are fun to watch as well, but I was very curious, and I was going to do him rooting for the guy.
Personally, I would tune in for Adley Rutschman. But that's
I
just
also
me.
did that. But it's,
motherfucker watching games for 61 OPS.
I'm pulling for the guy. That's all.
I don't know if he actually has a 61 OPS.
I think it's probably
it's probably a little higher
OPS
than that.
Plus is probably around there, if
that's
not much
that's
lower,
what I meant. OPS plus.
Yeah, I feel like he probably is rocking about a 40 OPS plus if I had to guess.
Oof.
But
boy, I hope not.
I don't know.
The Yankees offense has been rolling 10 runs in 3 straight games, taking the first 2 against the Seattle Mariners. Game 3 being played right now. George Kirby versus Clark Schmidt, both looking good right now.
Clark actually low-key had a great May. Which
did he?
Yes, he did.
I didn't know that.
He's been looking good. He has been getting his I think he had 3 or 4 straight starts with 3 or less earned. So
he's looking much better than he did
He's settling
April.
down, looking a lot more comfortable at the major league level.
He still needs to figure out lefties.
He does. But tonight he's doing well against a Mariners lineup that has a couple.
Quite a few studs in it.
Yeah, a lot of studs. Actually, and the Yankee pitching staff has handled them pretty well in general. And the offense has been the problem. And turns out that IKF is the second coming of Barry friggin' Bonds. So
he hit a bunch of singles.
Okay.
So maybe of Pete Rose.
Don't yuck my yum, man.
I'm going to yuck it. It's going to happen.
I love the IKF power surge. This is, and he did have a couple games where he popped a few homers. And
he has gotten a few. He has gotten a few out.
He has completely endeared himself to the Yankee fan base, including myself.
Yeah, well, he's a great bench guy. That's the thing.
He's a perfect bench guy.
I was kind of saying it all year last year. I was like, if they took him out of the starting shortstop role, I probably wouldn't hate this guy.
Yeah, absolutely not.
When you were getting
nobody hated him because of him.
Yeah, no.
It was what he
because
represented.
He was put into a position to fail, and now he's been in one where he can succeed, and he's doing a great job.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
He's a great utility guy.
Well
off
said.
The bench.
Yep, loving it.
Bryce Miller got tagged in game 1.
Yes, he did.
He was on a roll, hadn't given up a home run, gave up his first one to who else but Aaron Judge.
Yep. Logiel gets rocked in game 2.
Yeah,
Kirby going to get rocked tonight.
Well, not so far.
Not yet.
Let's see what else. For the 4th straight week, the entire American League East is ahead of the entire American League Central. I don't know how this is still a thing. It is completely absurd.
Can I go?
Yeah, you can go.
Okay, the AL Central's bad.
Yep, there it is. Correct.
I raised my hand, by the way, once again.
He did raise his hand.
The non-audio listeners, which is nobody. Maybe
a visual bit for no one.
Yeah. Reminds me of a Beatles song. But anyway.
Nowhere Man?
Yeah, that's more about my life.
That was a deep riff.
Yeah.
Few people might get that one.
Deep cut to a B-side Rubber Soul hit. But I think that was Rubber Soul. Anyway.
It was.
Yeah. So the
For No
the
One
American
was the White Album.
That was what I was going. I thought that was
No,
a
I know,
Revolver.
but the joke was that you were saying that the reference was to For No One.
Yes,
and I
which
was
is on
saying,
Revolver.
oh yeah, it was Nowhere Man.
No, I got that
Nowhere
part
Man
of
is
the
on
bit.
Rubber Soul.
That's no, yeah, that's that.
For No One is on the White Album.
I'm pretty sure it's on Revolver. That's what I'm confused about now.
Oh,
I was
it
with
might
you
be.
for the rest of that.
Oh, okay.
I think it's on Revolver. Could be wrong, but I don't know. Somebody fact check and let us know that we're fake Beatles fans.
Anyway, the AL Central is trash.
Yeah, they're bad. The Guardians have just completely let me down, man. They are not doing anything good.
For No One is on Revolver.
Okay,
I was
there
wrong.
we go.
Sorry.
There we go. So I'm a real Beatles fan. You're a fucking
Yeah,
phony.
you know what's actually crazy is I learned to read off the back of Beatles albums when I was 3, and I had
You
like
weren't paying attention, were you?
well, I had like all of their track lists memorized before I was in kindergarten. Definitely autistic. So, and now I get this
just
one wrong.
A good way to introduce yourself to the world of music, man.
I have come. What has happened to me that I could get that wrong?
It is now. It's been
Jesus.
too long. You know what you need to do is reacclimate yourself. You got to get back in there.
Yeah,
Get in the lab.
I think I do. I gotta get back and study the boys.
Oh yeah. Man, so we had the Beatles #1 album when I was a kid, and that was like what we used to listen to a lot.
My dad has like all of them, but yeah, continue.
Yeah, no. I mean like the album that was just their #1 hits.
Oh, shit.
And I thought
okay.
for
That's a
years,
great album.
it is, but I thought for years that was an actual album.
Oh, yeah.
And not like, so one time I was like looking through, I don't know what, but I was like, where's one? And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Why are all these songs on these other albums? Oh.
You're like, wow, this album's amazing.
It's
This
so
is
good.
nothing but bangers.
These guys are hit after hit after hit, literally.
Picks up an album. The Essential Bob Dylan. Wow, this is such a good album.
Man, why is everything on here good? No skips.
Anyway.
No skips on the Essential Bob Dylan.
Mudville, a podcast about classic rock.
Dude, don't tempt me.
You can do it. I would
I
not
will
be
do
fit
it.
for that. I have expended my ability to talk about that genre.
I will do it.
I spent years disliking
Man,
it.
listeners,
but,
let us know if you'd like me to bring in some guests and do a classic rock episode. That'd be
Yeah,
fun.
why not? I mean, we don't have any parameters here.
Yeah.
We have full creative control.
Mudville, no parameters.
I could do an episode that's just like me freestyling over J Dilla beats.
Yo, our most listened to episode, or our least.
One or the other. Yeah, it's not gonna. There's
No in between.
There's no medium there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the AL Central is dog shit. The Tigers are 26-28, and they're in second
Dude,
place.
the Tigers have they're
That's
within
hilarious.
striking distance. I should have put the money on the Tigers.
They're within like 2 games, and they're bad.
Yeah.
Like they're not
Yeah.
a good team.
They're under 500, but they actually. Well, wait, 26 and
Riley
28.
Green's
you said, right?
playing better, but
Riley
he just
Green's
got hurt. Eduardo Rodriguez just got hurt.
Yep.
Spencer
Is that
Turnbull sucks.
Is that a tub of bugs?
That looks like a tub of bugs.
That is a tub of bugs.
a tub o' bugs.
Is it not? What else would it be?
It definitely was. I guess Seattle listeners,
What
do
are
you
you
guys eat
guys
cockroaches?
eating,
Is that what's
dude?
happening? We have the Yankee game on mute, so we're going
for
entirely
those
off
on the
of
audio only.
Yeah. So I don't know. There was like a bucket of cockroaches on TV.
It
So
at least looked like it.
yeah,
That was
Seattle listeners, tap in. Tell us what that's all about.
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
Come back to us, babe. That was weird. I don't know what that was. That being the bucket o' bugs, and also what I just said. Oh, now Jeff Nelson is eating the bucket o' bugs. I don't know what we got
Anyway,
here.
that leads. Yeah, that leads me back to the question: why is all of the good baseball being played on the coasts?
Money.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is
Next question.
You know, this is just the electoral college all over again with the coastal elites.
Let's do
constantly being weighed down by the schmucks in the Midwest.
Middle America. They don't deserve better baseball.
I'm just gonna go for the most strange metaphor I can.
That's pretty up there, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
You are pushing hard on the barriers of that joke.
Yeah, I think that's about the end of it.
I don't know. I think it's it is kind of sad, but there's also part of the equation here in that a lot of those teams are rebuilding. Like a handful of them have made more recent World Series appearances than a lot of teams in the East divisions, at least. Like the Royals, the Guardians, the Cubs. Who else?
I don't know.
Central
like,
teams.
A lot of those teams are just kind of.
Yeah,
like,
obviously. But a lot of them are coming into rebuilds. They've had like a few years of, I don't know. Like the thing is they get one bad contract and they're fucked. So it's like.
They were all expected to be so much better. Like the Twins,
were they? Well,
Guardians,
the Twins, sure.
White Sox, Brewers, Cardinals. They should all be like way better than they are. The only team in either of those divisions, I'd say that the only teams that are actually overperforming right now in either of those divisions are the Pirates and the Tigers. And that's kind of funny.
It is. I think people would have pegged them for fifth in both.
It's also just kind of sad. Like I'd like to see better baseball spread across divisions, or if we're gonna have these teams just being consistently mediocre, I'd like to see a bit of a restructure of the playoff system to take that into account.
That being said, you can blame your beloved Orioles for what is going on with about a quarter of the league. Because now, especially that it's working.
Well, you could also blame the Astros for what the Orioles did. So,
yeah, that's fair.
Like always, it always goes back to the Astros.
Fucking Astros.
And to the Cubs. Those two teams were the ones who really kind of kickstarted the tank.
Yeah.
But the Orioles did it incredibly efficiently.
They did. Well, it's kind of hard to mess it up.
It's definitely hard to throw away 5 consecutive years and then not have a haul of elite prospects coming your way.
Yep.
But they've got a haul.
They are going to now need to move some of that haul because they have too much talent.
Yeah. Where were we? Bryce Miller, another Miller, Bobby Miller, looking great in L.A. He's come up, made
Dude, stop
2
showing
starts.
the bucket of bugs.
Yeah, they've got to stop showing us.
Don't show me Jeff Nelson chowing bugs. I don't need to see that, dude.
I don't. Yeah.
Oh,
they've
man.
really overdone it at this point.
That was the third bug
Yes
shot.
Network.
We got too much bugs.
Cool it on the bugs.
Cool it on the bug.
I'm not
chatter.
watching a David Cronenberg movie here.
Dude, man.
On the other hand, the NL's parity right now is remarkable. The last place Rockies in the entire conference, that is, are within 10 games of the first place Dodgers.
Yeah.
Nobody is even 5 games back of a playoff spot at the time of recording.
That's insane.
That's crazy.
That's insane.
The last place team right now is like 23-30. Is actually, let me get the exact record. It's 24-32. It's the Nationals and the Rockies.
Good for the Rocks.
Are tied for last in the conference, and neither of those teams are even out of their divisions. Which is just insane. I mean, they are realistically.
They don't really have a shot.
Plausibly.
But, I mean, if they weren't so top heavy, like because the thing it's the opposite of the Rays, right? These are teams that are probably about to start going and like really going. Mm-hmm. Like the Padres are already kind of picking it up a little bit. They're not fully going yet, but the as we said earlier, the Dodgers are good. They have not shown the ability to dominate the way that we're expecting it, but they will. I could only guess. Same thing with the East. Like the Braves have absolutely come out the gate swinging. They're like on fire. But the Mets and the Phillies are supposed to be better than they are, and the Nats and the Marlins. This is probably going to be the deal. The Marlins, if they could get any kind of offense, except for Luis Arraez and his .430 batting average, would be fantastic. But
yeah, I think what it ultimately boils down to is that the American League has a team with a .690 winning percentage and a team with a .207 winning percentage, and the National
the Royals,
no, the A's.
Oh, right. I forgot. I didn't count them in my head.
The Royals are 304. They are also considerably worse than any other team in the NL. I mean, those are going to be the two teams at the top of the draft lottery at least.
Yep.
And the NL just
coming up, by the way, the draft and the combine are coming up. Good friend of mine. Oh, we need to have Daniel on for a draft spectacular.
Oh, we absolutely are going to do that.
I don't know how much he'd be allowed to talk about.
We'll bring in Daniel and we'll bring on my friend Nick as well, and we'll talk about prospects. And we'll just go off with it. That'll be so much fun.
For those not fully immersed in the Mudville verse, that rhymed and I didn't mean it to.
The Mudverse.
The Mudverse. I do have a good friend of mine who works for Major League Baseball in the draft operations department.
We're CIA ops, sorry.
And Daniel, I know you're listening. So
hi,
if you
Daniel.
want to, if you want to come on and do a draft day app, I'll offline you, but we'll discuss. Everything's coming up. I know he's been working really hard on. He works on the combine stuff specifically, so that would be very interesting to get him to talk about what he's allowed to talk about if he can.
Well, pen him a letter.
Yeah. Well, we'll have our people reach out to his people, which is me reaching out to his girlfriend and saying, "Is Daniel available? Can he come over and chat?
Can he come over and play?"
But so we'll see if we can do that.
That's a preview of Mudville episode number. We don't quite know yet.
Probably 15.
Maybe.
What is this? 12?
It'll probably be like 17 or so by the time that comes around.
We might have gone through 4 iterations of the logo by then.
Well, let's keep running through some of this baseball. We're approaching the end. The Reds are looking formidable. Finally, not really finally. They were only in the tank for really 1 year.
Yeah.
They're about to call up Elly De La Cruz.
Well, they also shipped off all their talent.
Yeah, at the start of 2022.
Yeah.
Elly De La Cruz, the number one prospect in baseball, dominating AAA every night, elite speed, hitting the ball almost 120 miles an hour already.
Unbelievable. From both sides of the plate, too.
Absolutely.
Unreal.
Switch hitter, shortstop, absolute phenom. Second he debuts, I will tune into his debut.
I feel like he's going to be a bust.
Oh, shut up.
There's too much hype.
The hype hasn't lasted long enough.
That's true.
He only became quote unquote a household prospect name, I'd say a couple weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. It was when the game line came out where he had 2 homers of 160 plus EV.
Insane.
From the left side and the right side. I'm also not being completely serious. I don't think he's going to be a bust.
It's going to be tough to live up to expectations.
Dude, he's a switch hitter who can hit the ball 115 miles an hour from both sides. That's unbelievable.
I'm incredibly excited for him.
It's crazy. I don't even know if that's ever happened at the major league level. Has it? We don't know how hard Mickey Mantle could hit the ball, but he's I'm assuming
we
the
can
closest.
Assume.
Yeah.
But at least maybe not in the StatCast era. We haven't had a switch hitter who hits the ball quite as hard as he does.
Yeah.
Arizona is a playoff team. They could be a legit.
Again, that West is real weird.
Yeah. I think they could be legit contenders with a little bit more starting pitching. Zach Davies is still in the rotation. Ryan Nelson is pitching like ass. Brandon Pfaadt has been very disappointing in his start. I think he even got sent back to AAA like G-Rod did.
How's Gallen doing? I haven't been paying attention to the last.
Oh, Gallen is an ace. He's going to win the Cy Young. It's going to be him. It's him versus Spencer Strider for the Cy Young right now in the NL.
Yeah, Sandy hasn't been great this year.
Oh,
right?
he's been pretty bad. Yeah,
not good.
The Mets lost back-to-back games over the weekend to Colorado 10-7 and 11-10.
So weird thing with the Mets that I want to bring up.
Sure.
Kodai Senga, he has been unreal in Citi Field, and he has been absolute dog water on the road. which is very strange. I think the numbers are like a 1.2 ERA in city and like a 6.5 ERA on the road or something.
Dog water.
It's like bad. It's
Put him in the bowl.
really, dude. It's strange. Lap him up.
I was gonna note that he blanked the Phillies the other day, but,
In Citi Field.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird.
I know
he does
Nola
not
was
have
pitching there tonight.
He has nothing while on the road. It's odd.
Yeah, the Mets right now at
Phillies have been skidding too a little bit.
the Phillies have been incredibly disappointing.
Out of every single team though that is not a worry, it's the Phillies, because last year they were complete dog shit until it mattered. So
the Marlins are still tied for second right now.
Yeah,
29 and 27.
Yeah, that's
another team overperforming.
I'm telling you, the bottom of the NL divisions are so strange because you have the fact that the Rockies are, what was their record again? Did you say they're like
24 and 32?
24 and 32. Okay, if you had to guess what the Rockies' record would be after almost 60 games, would you have guessed they were over 20 wins?
I would have probably said they were at like exactly 20 wins. I probably would have put them at like 21.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And that's 60. We are not at 60 just yet. Mm-hmm. So they're overperforming
a little bit better. They've gotten a few more wins.
Yeah, they're not playing 500 ball like the owner said the goal was. But
sure.
They are. They are.
I think we could play 500 ball now.
No, you can't. Well, you should. Yeah. But whatever.
Logan T. Allen shut down the Orioles on Monday.
Logie Talon.
A nice little pitching duel against Tyler Wells.
Sure.
Cleveland's going to have some very interesting rotation choices to make once Tristan McKenzie comes back from IL. Aaron Savali as well. You'd think both of those guys would probably stick in the rotation alongside Shane Bieber. And with Logan T. Allen and Tanner Bybee looking like great rotation pieces, I think Cleveland's going to have quite a few.
Who do you think goes? Because they're going to have they have to ship someone.
Yeah,
because they need offense. So what are they going to do?
I mean, I think when Cody Morris comes back, he goes straight to the bullpen.
Sure.
I think
trade, because at the deadline they have to go after a bat if they want to compete, which they can in that division, because they can make the playoffs if they start hitting. So
they're 5 games under 500 right now, probably not getting quite to 100 wins.
Right.
I
just a little under the projection.
I think Cal Quantrill maybe goes. I think maybe he's the guy that
but
gets
are you getting a
eventually.
Good bat for Cal Quantrill?
Nobody wants to trade pitching. Nobody.
Yeah, but they have an excess.
Baseball wants to exactly no, but nobody in baseball wants to trade pitching. So
unless
if Cleveland
you're the Yankees,
gets to the point where they can say maybe they might have to just cut Hunter Gaddis, but they could say, okay, Cal Quantrill, we're going to move him to some team that just needs an arm. This is a guy whose numbers have been better than his stuff for quite some time. So you know that he's going to go in and give you 3-4 starter numbers.
Right. They're going to send him to the Cardinals. Probably. There's going to be go get one of those, one of their bats that they have
could trade,
too many of.
They could trade Cal Quantrill for Tyler O'Neill.
Sure.
I bet.
Actually,
both teams would do that.
That's a good projection.
Yeah. I think, that's kind of my guess maybe.
Yeah.
I think that's a trade that, first of all, if you put Cal Quantrill on the block, you're going to get a number of bidders right now, not because he's a particularly great pitcher, but because nobody's trading pitching.
Right.
The Cardinals put O'Neill, who they're kind of sick of and don't really have a spot for, up on the block. I think that works for both teams.
Yep, I think you're right. That's you heard it here first, folks. The first trade deadline pod.
The first trade prediction of the year. Yeah. Cal Quantrill, I think. Eventually they're going to go with Bieber, McKenzie, Bybee, Logan T. Allen, and probably Savali in that 5 spot.
That's a pretty freaky rotation.
They also have Gavin Williams right on the verge of the majors. He's one of the top pitching prospects in baseball. He's got ace stuff.
Righty?
I think
lefty?
He's a righty.
Okay.
I think when he comes up, probably you just see Aaron Savali get bumped. He probably moves to the bullpen at some point. He seems like a guy that could eat innings late in the season. Maybe if they get to the playoffs, he could be a 2-inning guy out of the pen. Yeah. I don't know. But it does seem like they are due for an elite rotation quite soon.
Yep. But they also they need to start hitting. They're I mean they had a crazy game against the Orioles today. Actually, they put up like 12 runs in 5 innings.
Yes.
Or something. Josh Bell is starting to hit a little bit. I know that. I think other than that, their lineup has not been given him much. Jose Ramirez is not playing like the Jose Ramirez that we know he can be.
Steven Kwan has been bad.
Kwan has regressed just a little bit, but again, he was playing
like
so
1%.
Yeah, but again, last year he was playing amazingly. So he had to kind of come back down. He'll come back, I'm sure. It's how many guys have a sophomore slump? There's a reason it has a name.
Everybody right now.
Yeah.
Julio.
Yep.
Witt
Julio
was
had a rough
cold for
start
a
again.
while. He's starting to heat up.
Yep.
The Red Sox put up 5 runs in the bottom of the 9th last night, but lost 9-8 to the Reds. I just think that's funny.
So funny.
I don't really have much else to say about that.
Also, right after the Celtics.
Oh
got
yeah,
bounced.
the Celtics got bounced in Game 7. Bill Simmons looked like a depressed caveman. Dave Portnoy was apparently on the verge of dying.
Good.
So, yeah,
Do us all a favor.
Boston, eat shit, except for you, Matt Farley. We love you.
Right, he was from Boston.
Yeah, and then
Sorry, Matt.
just today,
We don't like your basketball team or your baseball team or your football team.
I kind of have no beef really with the Celtics. I just like seeing that fan base lose.
That's
really the one thing. Like I just like seeing them sad.
I don't have a beef with the Patriots because
I do.
Historically, you would, Jets fan.
Yeah,
historically,
and you
I'm
Giants
good
fan.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
I'm chilling,
You know
man.
That makes sense.
They're my children.
Just today, Shohei Ohtani homered twice for the Angels. Mike Trout hit a ball 476 feet.
Final score?
They're Tigers 8, Angels 3.
Thank you very much.
Just kidding. But the actual score was they won the game. The Angels won 12-5.
Yeah, there you go.
Lance Lynn got tanked.
Not exactly a tungsten, but
Not quite. Louis Varland looked great tonight for the Twins against the Astros.
Can we talk about the Astros real quick?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a ton to say about them. I mean, they're playing pretty well. They've won 7 of their last 10, but
So,
they looked bad tonight.
The reason that I want to talk about them is not based on what they're doing currently as a team. It is more of a grander sense.
Sure.
Can you name the last team to repeat as World Series champion?
It was the Yankees.
Correct. So, that being said, just by the math, if you are the New York Yankees and there has been a thorn in your paw named the Houston Astros
For half a decade.
If not more, 2015 is now 8 years ago.
Sure. Different era, though, but
Completely
Go
different
forward.
era. But the Astros have beat us with like 4 different rosters, so whatever.
yeah, that's true.
The Yankees need to realize that the math is on their side. The Astros won the World Series last year. That means they have a very slim chance of repeating. Historically, it has not happened in 23 years. That means if you're going to do it, this is the year because you should be able to beat anyone else. And if it's the Rays again, I'm going to be upset who knock us out. I should say if the Rays knock us out.
The vibes metric.
The vibes metric on the Astros this year is not pointing
low.
towards World Series. It's pointing towards playoffs and probably winning their division. But they don't have the juice that they had last year, mostly because they just won the World Series.
I would love to see Texas take that division.
I would
It
not.
looks like they could.
I would not love that. Would you like to know why?
Why?
Because the Texas Rangers have not been in the playoffs in years. And if we now have to deal with another Texas team who shows up and has an elite staff and lineup and just finds a way to beat us in the playoffs, and then we have to deal with both of them.
I'm not really talking from a Yankee lens.
I am. It's May. It's time to start talking about the World Series for the Yankees. So, no, it is
You can
actually
start your own podcast.
I did.
I'm gonna go
a few weeks
tour the
ago
world.
with you, but
I'm going
no.
to Montana.
No, I will say
See the falls. There are no falls in
Are there
Montana.
falls in Montana?
Definitely
there probably
not.
are.
There
There
might
be.
be.
There's like I don't know. Are there Montana Highlands? Whatever.
Maybe.
The
I don't know what the fuck's in Montana.
It's not much. I have been there. It's really not much. A lot of cows. But it is June though, so it is officially not the earliest stages of the season anymore. We are close to 60 games in. So not that it's time to start projecting the playoffs or the World Series or whatever, but it is kind of getting to the point where we can start gauging who is really a contender and who will be. And I'm not saying the Astros are out of it. I'm just saying that the vibes for them are not the same as they were last year, where they looked, like world beaters until they got to the World Series and beat everyone.
Could very easily happen again, or it could.
If they turn it on, I wouldn't be shocked. So
we've got about 8 contenders in the American League right now.
Yep.
All of them are in 2 divisions. It's just completely absurd.
Yeah. Kind of rough.
Well, that's just about an hour. Maybe we wrap up this week's Mudville.
Sure. I think I wanted to touch on real quick.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Barry.
Oh, Barry.
Yeah.
No. The end of television, as they say. 4 shows ended this week.
Yeah, seriously.
4 super popular shows.
It's I watched 2 of them, I think.
As
Did
do
you
I.
watch?
I don't watch Ted Lasso. I don't watch Mrs. Maisel, but I watched Succession and Barry.
I watched Ted Lasso and Barry, so there you go. All good shows. My parents love Mrs. Maisel. I know that.
Parents tend to do that.
Yes.
They also tend to love Ted Lasso.
I also love Ted Lasso. That show is fantastic.
No comment.
It pisses me off when people like see one clip of like the wholesome part of that show, like the shtick of it, and then they're like, "This looks like an after-school special." It's like there's, the context of it makes a lot of sense.
That scene did look like it was written by a guidance counselor.
I get that. That's the thing. The reason that was the way that it was is because it was setting up one of the characters being outed by his teammate as being gay, because they all had to clear shit off of their phones, and then he went through his phone and found that he was gay. It was a season-long arc with this character, and he'd been hiding it, and then it was basically just setting up a plot point.
Wow.
Yeah. So that show is great.
And knowing is only half the battle.
Dick. But anyway, it's a good show. I would recommend watching it.
Go watch Succession.
Succession I started a long time ago and then never finished. I need to get back into it and watch it again. But anyway, if you want to try to sell Succession the way I try to sell Ted Lasso, go ahead.
I don't think I think it speaks for itself.
It definitely does. Everybody knows it.
But what do you think about the ending of Barry?
Yeah. I enjoyed it a lot. I felt it was a little bit rushed. It definitely felt a little rushed. I was going to say, like, when I got back that night before we watched it, you said that you gave it a B+, and I think that you absolutely nailed it.
Yeah.
Or it's exactly what would happen. I'm not going to say what they deserved, because it's not at all, which is why it is what would happen. Like, there's no other way that would have gone down. Of course. What should we do, spoilers or no?
Nah, I mean, I would. You can like vaguely gesture, I guess.
Fair enough. What happens with Gene makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. Like, finally doesn't have anything to say.
It was definitely a comedic punchline.
Yeah, definitely. What happened with the film, the plot of the film, makes complete sense. I thought it was funny. I enjoy the only problem that I had is Moss jumping to that conclusion so quickly.
Yeah,
I thought that was a little out of character.
I agreed with that, and also I definitely like that it's like we glorify people just because they're in the military, and like Barry becomes this like martyr despite, I guess we are spoiling
we're doing spoilers now. Okay. Yeah, I think Sally is like
I liked that ending.
I did too. I wrote it down. I had a thought that I'm just going to read off because I wrote it immediately afterwards, which was John gets to grow up unaffected by the dark side of Barry, but still has to deal with the darkest parts of Sally, which is much more real and honest, as people do have parents that are like Sally, but nobody has a parent like Barry. I think it's like Sally being this, extremely narcissistic. People have narcissistic parents. That's like, a thing.
Everybody's narcissistic. It's okay.
Everybody is, narcissistic to a degree. Yeah. Sally is on another level, which, the kid literally says, "I love you," and then she just goes, "Did you like the show? Was it good?" But yeah, I think that is, it grounds it a little bit more. And then on Memorial Day, Bill Hader puts out this great treatise against, violence in America as he just waltzes out of a Walmart strapped to the gills. And,
Yeah, that was funny.
It was good stuff.
I do think it should have been 2 seasons, the final season. Like I
agree.
I think that could have worked so well as if they did that hard transition at the end of season 4, and then season 5 could have been like, so many people compared it to like Vince Gilligan and Better Call Saul, which I haven't quite seen.
I have not quite seen or have not seen.
This have not seen.
Okay.
Felt if I could talk around it, it would make me seem less stupid.
Less uncultured. Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I definitely felt like there could have been like, he could have done like a Twin Peaks The Return type thing with season 5, or at least had some sort of influence to it there, because I definitely felt that in that, like, honestly, the most haunting part of season 4 for me was the depiction of the American Midwest. Like,
yeah.
It was
my God.
Like,
scary.
It gave me chills.
It really, even thinking about it now.
God.
Yeah.
Like, Sally just broke down even thinking about it towards the end.
Yep.
And yeah.
I think...
I get it. I mean, it was rushed, but it was good.
It was effective. It was
very
effective.
happy to see where Bill Hader goes next.
I was about to say, I can't wait to watch Bill Hader's horror movies that he's about to definitely start making.
Yep.
Like, he is tapping into a very similar vein of
he's going to be the white Jordan Peele.
As Jordan Peele. Yeah,
oh yeah, we both okay.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going with
that's
that.
where you were going with that.
Just very, static. Also, though, I don't want him to stop acting.
Yeah, I'd like to see him, give us the full Hader, if it will.
The full Hader. Not the Josh, the Bill. But, yeah, I think his, this role for him was so good, and I loved it. I think he somehow made one of the most despicable, or who should have been one of the most despicable people, extremely human and sympathetic, and it was a great show, beginning to end.
I'm with it. One of my favorite shows ever. Shout out to Barry.
Up there with the best. Yep.
That has been this week's episode of Mudville. Happy June to all the people out there. Hopefully,
it's summer.
Hope you have a good summer. Hope it's warm.
What are we coming back in the fall?
Yeah.
We'll be back next week.
We'll be back in like August, maybe October.
No, we'll be back next week.
See you in Christmas.
See you for the presidential election.
We'll be back very, very soon. Please rate us 5 stars. Leave us a nice review. Do whatever you want. Go follow us on Twitter at MudvillePod.
Go fuck yourself.
Well, that
do
too.
You want. Go
cases.
Fuck yourself. Yeah.
But
if Chris Bassett, or not Chris Bassett, if Anthony Bass,
if
found
Anthony
this podcast,
Bass is listening to this
go
podcast,
fuck yourself.
Fuck you.
Yep. If Liam Hendricks found this podcast, welcome back. We're glad to have you back. Glad you're all right.
Our batteries are about to die. We timed this perfectly.
Beautiful.
All right. Goodbye.
See you next week.